Okay, well, let's talk about your house. Thinking about your house then, what kinds of things were different back when you grew up than what kids would know today?
I think one of the things would be the front porch. Every house in the neighborhood had a front porch. And it was because, one thing, there was no air conditioning. And back in Iowa, it got awfully hot and wet, damp in the summertime. And people would come down to front porches where they could get the cool winds of the evening. Also, there were no garages on the front of the house. The garages were all at the back of the house, off the alley. You had to drive up an alley and into your garage.
Did everybody have a car?
No, Connie. People, uh, I think very few people, well, I can't say that. Many did not have a car. I had two uncles who had large families who never owned an automobile.
Okay, well, then how did people get around, like to work and so forth?
Well, in the city, you took the public transportation, which would be the streetcar in Cedar Rapids, or you traveled by bus between city or by train. Um, the other,
Was the streetcar stop close by?
yes, it stopped right in front of our house at the corner, not far from our house. And the working men would get on in the morning with their lunch boxes, and then about 5 or 5:30, they would get off the trolley car and head for home and go by the house, wave if anybody's on the porch, and that made for a great neighborhood.
So what is a lunchbox?
A lunchbox.
Yeah, so you said the men had lunch
Oh.
boxes. Why didn't they just eat at McDonald's?
There were no McDonald's, there were no Burger Kings, and for one thing, people did not have a lot of extra cash. Not the people we knew. These were poor times, the beginning of poor times, which led to the Great Depression. And people were very conscious about money that they spent and so on.
Okay, well, what about the backyards and stuff? Did people have gardens?
Oh, yes, gardens, and always, I think for most children, there was a sandbox.
What kinds of things were in the gardens?
Oh, vegetables, and I think a lot of flowers bordered the gardens. The women would plant the beans and the potatoes and the carrots and the peas and lettuce, etc. And then they would surround the garden plot with zinnias or daisies, bright colored flowers.
So one thing we've seen in old-fashioned pictures are laundry lines where people hang the laundry. Why didn't they just use dryers?
They didn't use dryers because there were no dryers at that time. My mother told me, "You watch the little boys, Catherine, while I go down in the basement and do the laundry." She had a washing machine, and she had 2 rinse tubs and a wringer. And she put the clothes through the washing machine, etc. And then hauled the basket up to the backyard and hung everything on the line.